If you spend any time in weight loss forums like Reddit, Facebook groups, TikTok comments, you will see this take over and over again. I'm only eating 1,200 calories a day and I'm gaining weight. My body must be in starvation mode. And honestly, I believed it for years. I was close to 300 pounds. I felt like I was barely eating throughout the day, and I was continually gaining weight. The internet told me it's because I wasn't eating enough. Your metabolism shuts down and your body is going into starvation mode. I heard that for years. I thought, that makes sense. That's why I'm fat. I don't eat enough. Except it was complete nonsense. And today I want to show you exactly how this myth works, why it's so convincing, and what is actually happening. There's a British TV show that actually proves all of this on camera. The footage is, it's honestly brutal. I know people watch this for entertainment. I personally don't enjoy it because I see how the people are struggling and I know that feeling. So I just want to break it down. So here's the thing. If you go to any weight loss community right now, you're going to see this exact conversation playing out in real time. Somebody's going to post, I'm not eating that much. I only eat X amount of calories. I'm going to the gym every day of the week. I'm working out every day. But for some reason, I'm gaining weight. And there will be a comment from probably a few people that says, you're probably not eating enough. Comments like this always get upvoted. They get likes, they get shares, and it's gone repeated until it's essentially become gospel. I mean, I've heard this most of my life. I found one post, and I'm paraphrasing here. I know if I don't eat enough, I will put on weight. And someone actually replied and said, I am confused. If you're not eating enough, how would you put on weight? Which is extremely rational for a comment like this. Typically in these forums, it goes the other way. But on those same posts, you're almost gonna always see somebody say, you're in starvation mode and you're not getting enough food. And if you think about what that sentence is actually claiming, your body, which is essentially a machine with multiple different systems, which requires energy. And the energy is broken down from food that you consume or storage that's stored on your body, and that's from consuming excess food. They're claiming that your biological systems are creating fat from nothing. And that's not biology. Unfortunately, that would be considered magic. Now, I want to be fair. Adaptive thermogenesis is real. When you eat less, your metabolism can slow down. Somewhat, just a little. Your body turns off systems that make you fidget. So you're going to end up fidgeting less. You're going to move less. You're going to be a little bit more tired and fatigued, so you're not getting up and moving as much. It's unconscious. Your body just kind of does it to you to kind of store energy to do other things. That's what happens to a lot of people when they work out, is they go and work out and they burn these excess calories, but then if you're not consuming enough food to kind of make up the calories, your body puts yourself into kind of a cool down mode, so that way you relax a little bit, which means you kind of turn back. So say if you ran 5 or 6 miles and burned 400 to 600 calories, your body might actually slow your metabolism down for the rest of the day, so you fidget about 200 calories less. So you still burned calories, but it might not be as much as you think. I know what happens to me. I'll go for a long run and then pass out on the couch. But this is the part that a lot of people leave out. That adaptation is super modest, maybe 200 calories. For some people, it might be a little bit more, and for others, it's going to be quite a lot less. So some people genuinely do have a harder time losing weight. What is not real is that your body can somehow flip a switch and just start gaining weight from eating fewer calories. You cannot change that. That does not change. Your body simply cannot create mass from nothing. It cannot store fat that is not coming in. There is the Minnesota starvation experiment. It's the one that lots of people reference. But it actually proves the opposite of what people think it proves. They put men on roughly 1,500 calories a day for months. Those men didn't get fat, they got emaciated, and they got weak. Their metabolisms slowed, but they lost weight continuously, because that's what happens when you eat less than your body burns. So if starvation mode doesn't actually make you fat, what is going on? There's a British TV show called Secret Eaters. It aired in the early 2010s, and the premise was very simple. People who couldn't figure out why they weren't losing weight volunteered to have their lives under surveillance for over a week. Hidden cameras, private investigators following them, tracking everything they ate. And every episode follows the exact same unfortunate arc. The very first episode, Jill, fills out a food diary, claims to be eating 1,300 calories a day. That's what she would tell a doctor, a trainer, and the Reddit thread. The cameras and investigators rolled for a week, and her actual tracked caloric intake was over 3,100 calories. On the weekends, her snacks alone would accumulate to around 3,600 calories every week. That's almost an entire extra day of eating just on snacking. And here's the thing is these people are not lying. Nobody is doing this on purpose. It's the same way that I felt. She genuinely believes that she's only eating around 1,300 calories. Everybody that goes through that show in the end is just baffled by what they see. When people start adding up all the calories, their minds are blown. I've actually done it to family members. I've had family members that have asked me about my weight loss. And when I've gone through the day with them and told them, you know, it's like, hey, when you smear that mayonnaise on the sandwich, that alone is a couple hundred, that could be a meal just by itself without any nutritional value. People have a hard time hearing that what they might eat in one sitting could be what you could eat for an entire day. And research confirms exactly what is being shown on camera. There's a landmark study from the New England Journal of Medicine, 1992, that looked at people who described themselves as diet resistant. These were people who swore they ate under 1,200 calories a day and could not lose weight. The researchers didn't take their word for it. They measured actual energy expenditure, which they compared what people said they ate with what they actually ate, and the results on average showed that these people who claimed to be diet resistant were underreporting their caloric intake by around 47%. You're almost always overeating and undermoving. And when those same subjects, people that have claimed the same things, have gotten their metabolisms checked, within 5% of predicted values, their metabolisms were completely normal. The researchers' conclusions across the board are essentially the issue isn't a broken metabolism. People are just genuinely bad at knowing how much food they're consuming. And this isn't about being stupid or dishonest or just misinformed. It's just actually really hard. Portion sizes are very deceptive. Liquid calories feel invisible. Cooking oils add up. I always hear from friends or family that are overweight, like, I didn't eat lunch or I didn't eat breakfast. I just had a few things throughout the day, a couple snacks. But then when you break down those couple of snacks, they add up to be dramatically more than breakfast or lunch could have been. Now, when I was around 190 pounds, about halfway through my weight loss, I actually went to a lab to check my metabolism because I believed these exact same things. Halfway through my weight loss, I still believed this stuff. And I want to talk about data and what I learned at that lab, but first let me tell you about today's sponsor. So I'm someone who overthinks everything. I dive into the research on just about everything that I use. But for some reason, I was still using an old, clunky, plastic, rechargeable toothbrush that had cords everywhere, and it was just a pain. That old toothbrush died like every week. And that's why I wanted to tell you about Suri, today's sponsor. Suri is a sleek sonic toothbrush with a slim aluminum body and plant-based brush heads that they actually recycle for free, along with a battery that lasts over a month. Over a month! I have not charged this thing since I've gotten it. It's crazy. Along with everything else, it has a pressure sensor so you're not destroying your gums, and this little magnetic mount where you just click it right on your mirror. And it comes with a UVC travel case for hygienic travel. No cord, no clutter, and a toothbrush that just works. So gang, if you care about what you eat, how you train, the things that you're buying, your toothbrush should get the same energy. Use my code SAUCE15 to get an extra 15% off your Suri. You'll see why I love this thing so much. Suri, thanks for sponsoring today's video and for making an incredible toothbrush. Now, this is where things get serious, because this myth isn't just wrong, it's actually harmful. When somebody is struggling to lose weight and the internet tells them that they probably need to eat more, one of two things is going to happen. They're going to eat more and gain weight because they were already eating more than what they thought, or they give up entirely because nothing makes sense, because that doesn't make sense. And I only know this because I went through it, and I know people that have gone through it, and I see people going through it all of the time in these forums. You get this feeling like, I eat too little, I gain weight. I eat too much, I gain weight. What am I supposed to do? Because no matter what I eat, I seem to be gaining weight. And wow, is that a mental... I mean, how do you get through that when people are telling you, you need to eat more? And you're like, I did that. I thought I had to eat less. I lived in that headspace for years. And the worst part is that people giving this advice, they mean well. They're not trying to cause any harm. They're trying to actively help because somebody told them the same thing and it sounded scientific and it seemed like it made sense to them, and they just wanted to pass off the information and be helpful. The fix isn't eating less. The fix is eating accurately, actually knowing what you're putting in your body, either tracking or diligently paying attention. I've talked about tracking quite a bit. I personally like tracking. I promote tracking. I think tracking is a great way to learn about what you eat. I do think tracking has some negatives to it, so I do want to watch the way that I say this. I do not think that you need to track for life, but I do think tracking for a very short period of time to learn about your diet, and I'm talking track everything. Track the sodas, track the snacks. If you eat an olive, which is actually kind of caloric, track it. Even count just the bite. I know it sounds silly, but just that bite could be a 100-calorie bite. And if you have just a bite 4 or 5 times a day, well, now that's almost a meal. And this has been proven over and over again. There's tons, just loads of endless YouTube videos of people doing this, where they say they think they're eating a certain amount of calories. They think they're just about right at exactly where they're supposed to be eating. And then when you actually track how many calories they're taking in on a day, it's tremendously more. For sure, my metabolism was broken. There was no way that my caloric intake was correct, that before I did any sort of tracking and determined how much food I was eating, I paid for a lab test. I went to a lab, I sat down, I put on the mask and did the test to find out exactly what my resting metabolic rate was. And I found out that my metabolism was perfectly fine. I mean, maybe a little slow, but I'll be honest, I was pretty shocked. That's my resting rate. That is how many calories I burn just at rest. So then I realized it was me. Now, I'm definitely not going to be the guy that just says calories in versus calories out. That's nuanced. Like things like sleep matters. If you're sleeping 5 hours a night, your hunger hormones are wrecked, you're going to eat more without realizing it. Sleep matters. Cortisol doesn't make you gain weight by itself, but it does make you hungrier and snack more. If your meals are not keeping you full, you're going to graze all day, and grazing can get out of hand. Calories add up. And I know that metabolic adaptation is real. It's just not the way the internet describes it. If you've been dieting for months, your body has adapted. You might need to maintain for a period of time, maybe even a couple of months. That's legitimate advice. That doesn't mean that you need to eat more to lose weight. Resting metabolic rate also went down, so that means the amount of calories that I needed, because my body needed more calories to move the larger version of me. It's kind of like if you're a pickup truck and you're towing a certain amount of weight. You're going to use more fuel if you were towing more weight. But if you cut the weight in half that you're towing, you're not going to use as much fuel. Now, I've been there. I want you to know that I am there for you to help you if you are struggling to lose weight. I hate when people comment, and they comment on my videos and say, it's easy, you just need the willpower or the motivation to just eat healthier and just do these simple things. Because it's not simple. It is not easy. And if you're struggling to lose weight, bad advice. It is not the advice when people say it's because you're not eating enough. I get it. I've been there. It sounds logical. Starvation mode seems like it's probably a real thing. It feels like it's an answer, but the answer is probably simpler. And that's not a character flaw. It's just being human. We're terrible at estimating portions, especially because of the way that portions have changed over time, the way society has changed over time. We all forget about the handful of nuts, the splash of cream, the little extra oil you added, even the extra plate. It all adds up. You might not have meant to take it. It's just happened unintentionally. But the gap between what we think we're eating and what we're actually eating can be very big, enormous. Research says 47%. Secret Eaters, a show that followed people around, proved it on camera over and over and over again. I've had conversations with people and proved it in real life. The first step isn't a new diet, it's awareness, being boring, realizing that nothing's going to happen in a hurry. There's no need to rush. This is for your health and for the health of the rest of your life, which can take some time. And I do think the more time you give it, the better off you're gonna be. Gang, I know some of you are already commenting. Take a breath. You can tell me where you feel you think I'm wrong. I'll be in the comments, I'll be responding, and I'm going to keep it very civil. If you feel like this helped, or at least made you think, please hit the subscribe button, because truly all I want to do is help. All I truly want to do is inspire you to find the life that I've been able to find. I'll see you on the next one.